How do you discern a God-given call from a passionate desire? Example, the great basketball player that was called to be a doctor.
One more time.
How do you discern a God-given call from a passionate desire? Example, the great basketball player that was called to be a doctor.
How do you discern a God-given call from a passion desire? That's very tough. I think a lot of us find ourselves in the crux of that too. When you're in an elementary state or you are immature babe when it comes to following God, you will confuse desire. Or I remember one time, and I told this before. I was brought up in a situation where I thought goosebumps meant God was in the building. And then one day someone had made one of my favorite dishes and I got goosebumps. So at that age, I was like, I know this is just food, but I got caught up in the traditions of what God's presence is and what God's words are. Therefore, I got so caught up in what I was taught and I got confused that when I felt the same goosebump, well, anyway. But what I'm trying to say is I was passionate about basketball. I was passionate about business. I was passionate about a lot of different things, man. I want to do so much in life, man, and I was so passionate about it. But I found out one day when God said, Josh, he told me, he said, write a book. Sometimes God's call for you is outside of your comfort zone, outside of your passion zone. Because your passion over time, see, passion is not necessarily God-given. Passion is an effect of a cause. Something caused that passion to do what it did. So what happens is some inspiration, some influence sparked something in you that was the cause to the effect of now that I'm passionate about this. I loved basketball growing up in the early 90s watching Jordan play, and I got amused by that, and I was like, man, I want to play ball. But just because I saw Jordan didn't mean I was supposed to play in the NBA. But at that tender age of openness, I got caught and attached to something where I said, man, that'd be cool to do. And yeah, I may have had some skills to do it. I had whatever. But just because you have a passion desire doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to be. And sometimes God will use your passion desire to learn certain things so that when you really hit the proximity epicenter of what you're supposed to, you have other skill sets and other things to but to associate with that call. But the best way to determine the difference is that inner knower. You know that feeling when you're doing something and you know it ain't right? Driving down a road and you're sure that's the way to go, but something tells you, I think you may want to turn around. See, many of us waiting for God to write on the wall or waiting for God to make your fleece wet and dry like Gideon. God just says, if you seek me, I will show you. So you have to ask yourself, where are my passions leading me? What is the conception of my passion? Because if it's self-centered, if it's people-centered, not people-centered, if it's self-centered, lust-centered, pride-centered, jealous-centered, money-centered, if the center or the core of your passion is not of God, chances are that's not what he calls you to do. And what happens is, as long as it's not selling drugs, as long as it ain't doing all this stuff, I'm okay. But no, God says, even I'm going to hold you accountable for the good things you did. Because the good things you do is still wrong to me because you're going the wrong way with them. So the best way, like I said before, is to consult your passions. Ask yourself, where did my passions conceived? Because as you grow in God, your awareness of what you're supposed to do grows with you. Man, listen, we fellas, remember when we was 15, we said this is the type of girl we want? Ladies, when you was 16, y'all was in y'all little rooms and stuff talking about this is the type of guy you want. And as you grew older, your desires or your type of woman changed. Your type of man changed because of maturity. So as you mature, your passions begin to either grow for something or diminish for something. And as you mature in God, and God is the one that's fueling that maturity, next thing you know, you'll find yourself like, man, that was me back. Because what Paul said, when I became a man, I put away childish things. We hold on to childish things for amusement. So the great basketball player that was called to be a doctor, many of us won't even find out until we're dead and gone that we missed it. But the good thing that we have now, we have a Holy Spirit that we can consult every day and say, Lord, lead me, guide me, so that I won't even make $1 in something I wasn't supposed to make $1 in. Because God is such a detailed God. He knows the hairs on your head. He's so detailed. He said he knows how to make sure that you are in the right place at the right time, doing what you're supposed to. And we have this God to consult day in and day out, and we barely talk to him. Who's like whatever your most affluent person you want to meet, whoever that is, that person that you'll run out this room, run up the street just to meet. If you want to meet Michael Jordan or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, whatever person that you want to meet, they still don't have the capacity of knowledge that God does. And we'll run our behinds off to stand in hours in lines just to see someone do their gift and their call. And we have this God who is omniscient in knowledge that can give you wisdom about anything. And many of us are digging in the wrong place expecting oil. But when you follow God, man, every place he tells you to strike, oil is guaranteed to be there. But do you trust him, or are you lured by your own passions? Because passions take you to a place that you never wanted to be. So that's my change on that.